All right, so The Chosen Season 4 just dropped their brand new trailer. They're calling it the Deliver Us trailer because the song that's throughout it is Deliver Us, which reminds me so much of the Prince of Egypt, maybe pointing towards Moses. I don't know. Some interesting things here, but there's a lot of hidden things in this trailer that we're going to break down. First of all, let's just get into it. Let's just start playing it piece by piece and talk through it together. Here we go. So, of course, we open up with the empty tomb, or the unused tomb, at least, of Lazarus, of course. This is going to be a major thing in Season 4. We've even seen the moment where Jesus says, Lazarus, come forth, or Lazarus, come out. And so that's going to be an amazing moment here. Now, I believe this is the tomb of Lazarus because it looks exactly the same, although they could be misleading us. We also believe that there may be a future scene with Mary at the tomb of Jesus. So who knows? We're not exactly sure what's kind of going on there, but let's continue on.
People seem to think they know why I'm here.
We'll go over all the dialogue later as well, by the way. Right now, we're going to look at each of the scenes and really break that down. We'll do a separate video breaking down the dialogue itself because I think it's really important to dive into that separately.
Do you think I've come to give peace on earth?
Now, this is the same sort of scenes we saw before with Jesus and the disciples on the road. This may even be close to the time where those Romans show up and give them the helmets.
This edict identifies Jesus of Nazareth.
So remember, that's Rabbi Akiva. We met him last season, but we actually see him now calling out the edict that Shmuel started to put into play in Season 2. Remember the season finale of Season 2, he's talking to Shammai, and Shammai starts to put into progression that edict that is going to be against any false teachers, against any heretics that are rising up against the Jewish people, right? At least in their eyes. And so they're going to be using this against Jesus now, and Rabbi Akiva is speaking that to the people in Capernaum because that's where he's stationed. So looks like he's speaking to a classroom of people. These are probably the elders or the people that are leading Capernaum, the teachers in Capernaum, the rabbis in Capernaum. This could also be the students of Capernaum that are just learning how to become rabbis, and maybe they're part of Beit Midrash, maybe they're part of something else. Looks like they may be more students, actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer. But that edict, he's teaching them, hey, beware of this Jesus guy, because he is totally against this new edict that we just have. So let's continue on. Here's Jesus in Jerusalem sitting down. Now, I can tell you because we did a ton of behind the scenes research. During this moment, Jesus is actually talking about John chapter 10. And so at the end of John chapter 10, we actually see that in Jerusalem, Jesus actually gets stoned. They're trying to throw rocks at him because he's claiming to be God. This is a really, really big deal. And we see him starting to speak about John chapter 10, teaching those little moments. For example, he says, that you have to come through the door, right? And he talks about how he is the good shepherd. All of that is in John chapter 10. And so as he's breaking all of that down, this is where it starts to happen here. This is where the teaching kind of comes into play. But we obviously see Tamar and Mary and all of the apostles here as well with Jesus in Jerusalem. So this is a pretty big moment here, probably a pretty big scene as well.
As a heretic and a blasphemer.
And now Caiaphas, we've seen him a couple of times. I'm really excited to see how he goes throughout this entire season, how his character kind of progresses, and how we see him going into Season 5 and Season 6. Because remember, Season 5 and 6, he's going to have a major role in bringing Jesus to where he's going to be eventually, right? So that's going to be a major, major thing. Excited about that for sure.
I've not come.
And then this is the big scene that they were teasing early on. I personally think this is probably where Big James gets hurt. It looks like it's Big James, Simon, and Simon Z here, maybe?
Come to bring peace.
Oh, no, it's Little James here. Yeah, interesting. So we've seen pieces of this before as well. We see the guy in the middle is the same Pharisee / Sadducee that we saw last season traveling with Shmuel and, was Yanni there with him? It was... I don't remember. But when Shmuel basically met Jesus for the first time face to face and prayed with him, in that way at least, the only other time he's really seen him face to face is Season 1 when he was yelling at him. But that same rabbi was with Shmuel at the end of Season 3 as well.
But a sword.
Now, I love that verse from Jesus. We'll talk about that in the dialogue section. But he did not come to bring peace. He came to bring a sword, to divide household from household, and really a big understanding here. We've also seen Gadara here, who we talked about in a previous video as well. He is a new big antagonist that's going to be coming up. He is representative of the Sadducees in this as well. So that's really, really going to be important.
Division.
And I'm really hoping we see Nicodemus in the Great Sanhedrin, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully they've hidden him from us, because I'd love to see him. This is the portion of scripture in which Mary is coming to Jesus on the outside of Bethany and telling him that Lazarus has died. She is obviously distraught, and then Jesus, as we saw in the other trailer, also weeps, giving us the shortest scripture verse. Jesus wept, right? And so that is this scene right here.
When someone chooses to follow me.
And again, we're kind of breaking this one down. We saw this previously as well. I believe this is David coming into a triumphal entry, either bringing back the ark or something else in David's life. I think they're going to use David quite a bit in season 4 to parallel to Jesus and to really make the parallel between those two really, really strong, because David was, an archetype of a king, right? But Jesus is the true king that never failed while David did, right? I think we're going to see some of David's failures throughout season 4. I think it's going to be really, really cool.
It may mean that people will be hated by those.
And then, of course, Joanna. Now, she is going to have an interesting season as well. I think she's going to be in the beginning of the season and then the end of the season, if I had to guess. And, of course, she's there during the banquet, during John's death, and then she reports back to the disciples that John dies as well. Big portion in this season.
Closest to them.
And then this is the portion after which we believe, at least on this channel, that Big James has been hit by a rock or something when they're being thrown out of Jerusalem. That's what we think this is. And Big James is being carried by Jesus. And I can't remember the other person that's carrying him. Is it Thomas? No, Thomas is with little James there. But we see as he's being carried by two others, Jesus and someone else who I can't remember right now, but he's got a really big gash on his forehead and a bloody forehead. And later on in the season, he's got a wrap that covers his head. We can even see this during the resurrection of Lazarus in some of those other scenes as well.
It may mean that people will be hated by those closest to them.
I prayed with this man, Yanni.
Now, this is huge. I'm so excited about this. Okay, so Shmuel has been hidden from us since the all the other trailers.
Hated by those closest to them.
I prayed with this man.
Now, this answers a question that we've had for almost a year now, right? That answers the question of, hey, if you're enjoying this video and you really want to support more Christian media content coming up in the future, we could really use your help over on patreon.com/thesnipelife. This is where we'll put all of our behind the scenes content and the most amount of content for season 4, 5, 6, and 7 of The Chosen. There's going to be so much on there, especially when they start filming season 5. You're going to want to be a part of it. It's going to be amazing, and it's all going to be on patreon.com. That's the best way to help support us and to keep us doing what we're doing here on YouTube. If you like our breakdowns and our reactions and everything else that we do on this channel, it's honestly an amazing way to help us out. Anyway, let's get back to the video, right? That answers the question of, did Shmuel actually go and pray with Jesus? Because Jesus invited him to come, and he said, basically, like, you can come, you don't have to do anything, you can just come and be with me or whatever. I want you to come pray with me. Shmuel went with him, but we don't actually know what happened there, right? We don't get that scene. So now we do see that Shmuel actually prayed with him, and he's confessing that to Yanni. This is a really, really, really big deal, because Yanni, of course, is totally against Jesus, totally against this whole thing, and he's the one that helped us set up this whole edict with Shammai. So now we're seeing as Shmuel is starting to join this group of the Yusufs or the Jairuses, right? Who are now way more, way closer to Jesus and way more understanding of what Jesus is trying to do. So this is a huge, 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 huge change for Shmuel, and I cannot wait to see where this leads for him. There's a lot of theories that people have had about Shmuel since the very beginning. Now, not everybody is going to turn to Christ in the show, right? Obviously. But there is a good chance that Shmuel will, because I think his heart is good. He just is misled in the way that he's doing things right now. So anyway, let's continue on.
Man, Yanni.
Of course, Mary there at the tomb of Lazarus as she's comforting Jesus when he weeps. Now we're seeing Gaius. I believe this is episode 4 during during Matthew chapter 23, I think it is, with the 7 woes to the Pharisees. That's what we've seen previously, as Dallas has showed us parts of that scene already. That is going to be amazing. Actually, not episode 4. I think it's episode 3 is what it is. I think this is episode 3. Jesus is yelling at the Pharisees and Sadducees, telling them that they're unwashed that they're whitewashed tombs, and that they're basically, clean on the outside, but really dirty on the inside and don't have the right heart for what they need to be doing. Gaius is obviously watching this, and this is going to be a big moment for him as well to continue to learn who Jesus is and how Jesus acts, right? That he is the real deal here. Now, here's that exact moment. I believe this is what Gaius is actually looking at as Jesus is speaking to Rabbi Josiah and Rabbi Akiva. He has all of his apostles here. And if you look over to the left, I believe the guy's head that we're seeing to the left there is the same guy that yelled at the woman with the issue of blood last season, where she got blood on his clothing and stuff, and then he was unclean and had to go bathe. I believe this is the same guy, and he may have a change of heart, like a softening of his heart, as he sees Christ kind of going through this. Since last time he was really, really harsh against Veronica in season 3. He may get a little bit of a redemption. I'm not sure. So we'll see what kind of pans out there.
He wasn't what I expected.
That's a huge line as well. We'll talk about that in the dialogue line. But again, Shmuel coming to Jesus in some way. He wasn't what I expected. Again, we're seeing the same scene where Jesus is berating the rabbis here in Capernaum. The 7 woes to the Pharisees. This is going to be an amazing scene here. And you see Matthew writing in the background. I always love when they do that.
He wasn't what I expected.
Right there, Matthew writing it all down, because it's in Matthew chapter 23, I believe. So love it when they do that. Of course, Quintus. This is going to be an interesting season for Quintus. I think there's going to be some really unique things kind of coming up with his storyline. There's a possibility he gets demoted. There's a possibility that he gets punished by Rome real bad because of all the things that are kind of going on in Capernaum. He doesn't like it, and he's trying to control it, and he just can't. And I think he's going to get in trouble for that. So we'll see.
Feels like the beginning of something. War, maybe.
Yeah. Atticus, of course, always coming back. His connection between Quintus and Pilate and everybody else is really unique, and he's the one that's kind of holding all the Romans together in a way, story-wise. I love his character, and I'm really excited to see what they do with it in season 4.
I don't expect you to understand now.
So let's go back there real fast.
Maybe.
Who's he talking to here? I can't really see who he's talking to. But obviously it looks like the apostles are here. He may be talking to Thomas. There's a moment in some of the other trailers where Thomas seems to be weeping. And so I think this may be Jesus talking to Thomas, where he's struggling with something, and Jesus is telling him that I don't expect you to understand it right now. There is a possibility. I have this theory. I don't know if it's correct or not, but I do have this theory that possibly Rama's father might die. Really, really interesting. I don't know.
Don't expect you to understand.
So here's all the guys. Here's what I was talking about earlier with Big James. His head is covered here. We also see Zebedee, and this is at the tomb of Lazarus. So I wonder how Zebedee is a part of this. Is he traveling with them? What's kind of going on there? I'm not 100% sure.
No.
So we see the banquet here, of course, with Herod and Herodias and the daughter there as well. We see a bunch of people just enjoying the party.
You'll understand in time.
So I'm going to pause pretty quickly coming up to the end here. There's a lot of different things here. Here's the Lazarus come out moment.
Life that overcomes.
Of course, Mary and Martha.
Death.
Martha, remember, she's going to have this moment of almost rebuking Jesus, telling him why didn't he come earlier, etc., etc. That's going to be really interesting. Oh, let's go back. I have to pause so quick here.
I am the life that overcomes death.
I'm just going to pause everything. I think this is part of the banquet here, the drummers of the banquet. We saw that in some of the behind-the-scenes videos from the YouTube videos from The Chosen. Let me pause it quick here. This is going to be huge. You see little James in the background, okay? Then you see, guess who this is? The guy from season 1, episode 1, crying out for the Messiah. When Matthew passes him in the courtyard, he says, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the Messiah?" And he cries out to him in the middle of the courtyard in season 1, episode 1. I think they got the same actor, but it looks very similar. It's the same blind guy. And I'm not sure if this is blind Bartimaeus that Jesus is healing, if they're going to call him that, or if this is just another healing that comes later on. I think this is going to be a really, really, really cool moment. I'm super excited for this one right here. They're super quick in this trailer, but I think this is going to be amazing. The only thing in the behind the scenes that we got about this at all was like one very blurry, very behind the scenes clip that we found, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago when they were shooting this scene. And this is going to be awesome, especially with little James being a part of it. That's going to be so, so, so cool. It's going to be awesome. All right, quickly, we saw this little part with Mary blowing out the candles last time. We see Big James and all the people coming up to something. We're not exactly sure what they're walking up to. And here's the dance recital that we saw previously. We've actually seen most of this scene right here as they released it a while ago and then took it offline. I did a whole breakdown on that. If you want to see that, go check it out on the channel. And then Pilate and his wife, Claudia, I think is what her name is in the show. And yeah, super interesting. Really, really great stuff. I don't think we're going to get much of Pilate and Claudia, but I think what we do get is going to be super special, super, super unique. As he's kind of getting in this position, being prepped and prepared in order to make the decisions that he's going to make in order to crucify Jesus. I mean, at the end of the day, he's the one that kind of puts down the hammer, right? So anyway, yeah, really, really cool. I'm going to pause this real quick. This is what I think I'm most excited about. I love that they put this in the trailer. Who is this woman on a donkey? They don't show us the man who's helping her. There's a woman on a donkey. And I know, because I have done so much research over the last 6 or 8 months, that this is almost 100% in my mind Elizabeth. Okay? So I think that this is Elizabeth traveling on the road before they have John the Baptist. Either she's pregnant here, or she's about to get a word from the Lord, or whatever else. Like, these different things are going to be happening. I don't know if Zechariah can speak here or not. I think this may be like just as she's getting pregnant or right before she's getting pregnant. But this is going to be really, really, really interesting. And I love that they have Elizabeth in this trailer. I expect to see her in season 1. I know the opening scene for The Chosen, I believe, is between Mother Mary and Elizabeth. So, I don't know. I'm excited to see it, though. I love that they put this in here, and I'm 99.99999% sure that that's what this is here. And then the person's shoulder who is behind my picture here is Zechariah. So, I think that's who it is, but I'm super excited about that. It's going to be awesome. And then, of course, them sitting at the table. We've seen this before, and I believe that's pretty much it.
Back anymore.
I can't. I'm out of time.
Yeah, so good. Love it. All right. Oop. Let me go back. Get out of this. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out the breakdown. Definitely check out some of our other videos. And if you want to see all the stuff upcoming for The Chosen Season 4, subscribe to this channel. I promise you, you will get no better knowledge than on The Chosen Sleuth. We try to find everything that we possibly can. And you guys are going to love this channel as we continue on. And yeah, definitely check it out. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.